our Lord and Savior Minarchy. No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com ad council.
Somewhere, well, come stay right along. You leave and break the branches we've gone. Once I saw him in the moonlight, and the bats were flying. Somewhere, one, and the wolf was crying. I know, nobody knows, nobody knows, nobody knows how love a man is I teared off his clothes. I know, nobody knows, nobody knows my pain. When I see that it's risen, that full moon again. All the werewolf and werewolf have sympathy for the werewolf, somebody like you and me. No legal soulmate, man, this little flute I play all through the night until the light day. You do play. Far away, the world have seen apathy. The world, somebody like you and me.
Front Porch Forensics deals with the darkest corners of human nature. This show contains graphic discussions of murder, violence, and the brokenness of the human soul. Listener discretion is strongly advised. But if you choose to stay, well, family, pull up a chair on our front porch, but know it gets real dark here real fast. Welcome, KLRN radio friends and family. I am Bumpstock Ken. Here with me is your hostess with the mostest, Bumpstock Barbie. And you see the tiny tyrant there in the background. She's hanging out with us for a little while too. Tonight, it is October, and we have the spooky season deep into it. The spooky season is. And we are happy that you guys are joining us tonight. And hopefully we'll just keep y'all entertained the best we can. So there's something old that lives in us, older than any bedtime story, is that small instinctive shiver that rises when the woods go quiet, the moment you realize that you're not alone and maybe never were.
And we live in the woods, so
Yeah.
I tell them all the time not to whistle.
Yeah,
we're
don't
not
whistle.
allowed to whistle.
Don't whistle. And for as long as we've drawn breath, we've given our fears names, right? Like the boogeyman, the Wendigo, skinwalkers, vampires, werewolves, creatures meant to carry the weight of what we can't accept in ourselves.
It's things we can't explain.
Yeah, sometimes the monsters aren't lurking in the shadows. Sometimes he's standing out in the daylight wearing a man's skin and using the legend of the beast to hide what he's done. And again, hello, KLRNradio.com friends and family. It's a midpoint of October. Actually,
We're 6 days away from Halloween.
Yeah, we're
now.
the third week now. We're
Yeah.
deep into the Halloween season, although Hollywood is more scary than Halloween.
Well, we've had all my movies going all week long, or the entire month, really.
Shoot, since July.
Well, yeah. Spooky season begins after my birthday.
Well, we know that Juxtaposition is also doing cryptids and all kinds of things for their shows. So we thought
That's
tonight,
a lot of fun, yeah.
we thought tonight we would dip our toes into the cryptid side. We've done witches and ghosts already.
Yeah.
So we're doing the one about the beasts within. So we're stepping into those places where folklore meets forensic evidence, where myth becomes murder's mask. These are some real killers who hid behind legends and the towns that let them, actually. And again, I am Bumpstock Ken, and joining me tonight, my lovely wife, Bumpstock Barbie, the lover of all things dark and spooky.
All of them.
All of them.
Hey, guys. Y'all know me. So.
And then Tiny Tyrant, she's in the background.
Yeah.
In the shadows. Very
well,
good.
Say, you're wearing like all black, so it works.
In the shadows.
Basically, yes, you did.
And again, tonight's episode is the one about the beasts within. So we're going to start off tonight with a story that unfolds against a backdrop of religious strife, economic hardship, and widespread fear of demonic forces in eastern France. The account draws from historical records, trial documents, and modern analysis, revealing a tale that blends genuine human depravity with that era's obsession that this is a time frame where witch hunts, all that stuff is going on. So they had these built-in scapegoats of the supernatural. They blamed everything on demons and
We're
or
in
spirits
France
or
for this
whatnot.
first story.
Yep.
But that just kind of proves that it was going on worldwide. This kind of panic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you pronounce his name? Gilles or Giles?
I said Giles Garnier.
Garnier. He was still infamously known as the werewolf of Dole.
I'm going to step in. Look, we are not from France. We are
very, very southern, so we get names wrong all the time.
We're the southern Appalachian Mountains,
What if I'm from France?
and we're going to get these
That would be
names
a
wrong
miracle.
no matter what. So bear with us on that.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, I apologize every time, even when we do the in memoriam and whatnot, that we are we don't get names right every time.
No, I get my name wrong half the time. But anyways, I said Giles Garnier.
But to me, it reads like Gilles Garnier.
Garnier.
I guess being from France, Garnier is probably
Garnier. Yeah,
Yeah.
that works.
But he was known as the werewolf of Dole,
Mhm.
or the hermit of Saint Bonnet.
Yep.
He was a 16th century French serial killer and a cannibal whose case exemplifies the intersection of superstition, famine-induced desperation, because there was a famine going on at this time, and judicial brutality during Europe's werewolf panic. Like, we had the witch panic and everything here. They had a werewolf panic. I mean, there's even a movie, An American Werewolf in London or
Oh, yeah.
in Paris. I think
They-
they've
well,
done a couple of them. So
The werewolves, they had their witch panic also, but the werewolves was
that was a
added
big
into
one
it, yeah.
for sure. So this guy that we're talking about, he's born around the mid 1500s. We don't exactly know when, just
Mhm.
mid 1500s there. Garnier hailed from the Lyon region, Lyon.
Yep.
And its environments before relocating to the forested outskirts of Dole. So by the 1570s, he is living as a reclusive hermit in a modest dwelling near Saint Bonnet in the village of Amanges.
Aminges.
Okay. Yeah, these are French names. So again, we are very sorry.
They're French names with Southern pronunciation. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. But that's approximately 10 kilometers from Dole,
Mm-hmm.
which is where he was from.
Or so about 6 miles or something.
I think so. I don't know the exact, how to track it or anything. But it's a very rugged, wolf-infested woodland
Mhm.
and everything. It's plagued by the very real predatory animals. We even get them here. We don't get wolves. We get coyotes
They get
here.
coyotes
So,
and wild dogs and stuff, or
yeah,
domesticated dogs that went wild.
right, the feral ones.
Yeah, feral.
And yeah, they still occasionally at this time they attack livestock. They attack humans, which kind of is now blurring the lines between real threats and folklore. So Garnier was already a marginal figure in that community there. He earned a small living through scavenging, occasional labor here and there, and foraging. But his isolation earned him the nickname the Hermit of Saint Bonnet.
Now, Garnier,
I say Garnier.
his
But
life his life took a turn when he married Apolline, a woman from a nearby area sometime before the murders began. The couple had children. The exact number is unclear, but they did have at least one. Some records say 2, some say 3. And Garnier struggled to provide for his growing family amid widespread famine and economic distress in post-Reformation France. Yes, I'm having to read a lot of this stuff because these names and locations are hard to keep up with. So, anyways, the 1570s, for historical accuracy, were marked by the French Wars of Religion from 1562 to 1598, which ravaged the countryside, displacing populations and worsening food shortages. And now you add to all that the crop failures in the area, super harsh winter, and that war induced poverty. And we already mentioned the famine that was being heavily worsened by the war effort. It all adds up to starvation. Basically, the only people who were being fed was the soldiers, and most of the time that was by force, by taking what they could from the villages and everything. But either way, the saying, desperate times call for desperate measures. Now, these desperate times actually drove some to the acts of cannibalism, a phenomenon later theorized as contributing to the Wendigo psychosis.
Can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
Because, okay, the movie Hannibal Rising, that's how Hannibal got his start. It was during wartime. His entire family was killed. He and his sister were the only ones left and everything. Sister gets sick. They're starving, so they eat the sister.
Right.
So
I remember that. Yeah. I remember
that
that
kind of, I guess that is historically accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's just what it made me think of.
Yeah. And that's what that's what some were reportedly going on. And Wendigo psychosis is just that. You see it a lot in the Western cultures and Canadian cultures and stuff like this with those kind of cryptids
Wendigo,
and stories.
especially where we live, because of like indigenous tribes, the Native Americans and everything, Wendigos are very, very common.
Yeah. So, but anyways, that's Wendigo psychosis is where hunger induces delusions of monstrous transformation. For instance, people blame the Wendigo possesses them and turns them into this cannibalistic, bloodthirsty creature. And then it's out of their control at that point. They can't help what they're doing. And Garnier's marital discontent stemmed from his inability to feed more than himself, leading to arguments and further isolations. And you've already got all that stress on him. And then he's got his woman sitting at home complaining that he's not getting enough food for him. And the dude probably just worked and done the best that he could. And all when he got home, just for a little bit of peace, all he got was
We're always well fed.
You can. I'm just saying I don't agree with what he did, but I understand.
But say you can understand what led it to that point.
I'm kidding, of course, but Garnier, he does. The reason we brought up the Wendigo part is because you will see some
aspects of that,
for sure.
So. I mean, this era is completely rife with werewolf hysteria, kind of like we had mentioned the witch hysteria before. That's part of those witch hunts that claimed tens of thousands, I think, across Europe. The werewolf trials then peaked in the 16th century, I think. And they were concentrated very heavily in the Germanic and French regions of Europe.
Matter of fact, most of our stories are from France and Germany tonight.
Yeah, so. Very, very heavily concentrated in these areas. France alone saw estimates of several hundred claims of werewolves. Maybe even up to thousands. There's no actual firm estimate or number on that.
Yeah,
And I mean, these led to actual prosecutions.
I saw, and again, you think of the Salem witch trials, the
Yeah.
France witch trials, all that.
I say this was all going on at that same time.
Yeah, while this was happening in the France and Germany regions, there was upwards of 30,000 to 100,000
Yeah.
witches being burnt and all that. So when you talk about a few hundred to a few thousand, much more smaller scale for werewolves, and most of the werewolf accusations were toward men, not
Yeah,
not
they
women.
weren't
just
heavily
opposite around.
focused on women like the witch trials were.
And now they were men who were witches and got burned
warlocks,
too.
that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah,
So
absolutely. But I mean, the witch trials, like this is kind of different because unlike the witch trials that were a lot of times handled by the Inquisition, werewolf cases were typically secular, and they were prosecuted by the local parliaments. And they even the accusations targeted the outsiders, like your beggars, your hermits, or your immigrants even.
right.
So they deviated. These are people who typically deviated from like Christian social norms, such as like the whole communal living and everything, and family piety. Basically, they deviated from that a little bit, so they were targeted because of it.
Yeah, they were the outsiders, and
Yeah.
You-
Lycanthropy is actually viewed at this time as a demonic pact
Mhm.
that inverted divine order, which, obviously divine order comes from God down and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So it inverted that. It flipped it on its head, basically. It's tied to often melancholy, which what they called a humoral imbalance that caused delusions, or satanic illusions. So early Roman laws against, quote, harmful ritual magic, they influenced these persecutions. They framed shapeshifting as a threat to political and religious stability.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by the tiny tyrant. She's about to leave us and go talk to friends and boyfriend things. So I was trying to settle that up.
Yay,
So
boyfriend!
now I half heard what you was talking about. I know the history that you was delving into about how lycanthropy
Lycanthropy.
Is a sign from we call it beast within, but it's also from the big beast, the devil, as well. And that we touched on how they were outsiders who were mainly the ones who
I say beggars, immigrants,
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And then did you talk about the religious side of it, where
I touched on that just for a second, just that it went against.
did you
Like-
know that most, if they were Protestant apologists, I guess, and if they wasn't Catholic, that would fall into the
Right.
ones targeted
more
as well.
the Calvinists, the Protestants,
Yeah.
like all that kind of stuff. Because this, like I said, it was a threat to political and religious stability
Yeah.
in the area.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I mean the murders attributed to Garnier.
Garnier. That's how I pronounce it, so I'm just sticking with that.
The murders attributed to Garnier occurred between August and November of 1573. There is speculation that it actually could have been all the way back to 1572 as well, but there's some conflicting sources because some of the murders that happened before his reign of terror were attributed to him, but there's no real proof to it.
Right.
So-
It was like wintertime,
Yeah.
too.
Some of them could have actually just been actual wolf attacks.
It very well could have
Yeah.
been, especially for that area.
So-
Because
What we know from his trials and everything, that it was 1570 August and November 1573, but it more than likely spread from the
before
winter of
then,
72 all the way into 73. But during that harsh winter, when children began disappearing and turning up mutilated in the fields and vineyards around Dole. Authorities issued an edict from the France Parliament.
French. I don't know how to
I ain't
pronounce
even trying. It's the French Parliament authorizing locals to hunt and kill the perpetrator, presumed to be the loup-garou, which is French for werewolf. Loup-garou, that's a cool name. I dig it. That's also in Louisiana too, because it's pretty heavily French, and I'd imagine up in Quebec and those French-speaking parts, it'd be pretty
any kind of French
common up there
territory,
too.
so parts of Canada and definitely Louisiana.
Definitely Louisiana.
When I lived in Louisiana, I heard it all the time.
Yeah, I've heard it through Louisiana as well. More than 50 witnesses later testified to sightings of a wolf-like beast, or sometimes Garnier himself, near the crime scenes. Garnier targeted vulnerable children aged 9 to 13. Now, this is documented. He strangled them, mutilated their bodies and there was bite marks, tears of the flesh, cannibalizing parts, complete parts, and basically acts that mirrored wolf attacks, but showed human cunning in luring the victims. And we got some actual detailed victim accounts from. Now, these are from trial records and contemporary pamphlets as well that was written later about the trial and all that. You want to read some of those?
Yeah, our first victim documented in late August. We don't have a firm solid date on that, but it was late August of 1573. He was a 12-year-old boy. He was attacked near the villages of Pro-Rouse, I think it's how you pronounce that, and Crow-Mary. Garnier, allegedly in wolf form, strangled the child, bit into his body, tore his body in half. Like, I'm actually doing the air quotes and everything because that's what the records say. Opening his belly and devouring parts on sight.
I would assume that would be the soft organs inside.
For sure. I mean, he was eviscerated, basically.
Yeah.
This occurred shortly before the Feast of St. Bartholomew, which happens on August 24th. There was a lot of heightened religious tensions from the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre at this time.
We should cover that one night too.
That would be a good one.
It'd be kind of I don't know if we could make a full 2 hours of it, but it'd be neat to look into it. Now, the second victim, late September, early October of 1573, a girl aged 10, abducted near the Gorge farm in, I guess that'd be Gorge or George?
Gorge.
In Chastenoy. Garnier dragged her into a vineyard, again strangled her, stripped her clothes, and ate the flesh from her thighs and arms in the nearby Serry forest. He severed additional portions and brought them home to feed his wife Apolline, who reportedly cooked them and ate them for a while. That was their meals.
Which ironically violated Catholic prohibitions against meat on Fridays.
Yeah, meat on Fridays. I wonder if they ate her on Thursday was okay. But again, that just adds another layer of that religious sacrilege to the charges of it.
I mean, absolutely. Yeah. For sure it does.
How dare you eat her on Friday?
But I mean, obviously it is that Catholic thing about meat on Fridays and everything. But I don't know that Apolline at this point knew that it was human flesh. I mean, she's obviously eating it because she was already mad at him for not providing enough food and that kind of stuff.
I don't know. I think she might know. At that point, like, desperation is desperation. Rick just posted on there that the rougarou actually avoids French Canada. Those Canadians don't do the rougarou.
I swear to God, guys.
Canada.
No.
Canadians.
Oh,
Okay.
y'all are
Anyways,
killing me.
we done a 10-year-old boy. No, that's 10-year-old girl. So in mid-October of 1573, a 10-year-old boy named near
Greta Sands, I guess. Minotti.
and Minotti. They're in France. Okay.
We're
Garnier
trying, guys. We are
Garnier
really
strangled him and ate from the thighs and belly again, tore off a leg to save for later consumption. He also attempted to strangle another boy nearby, but that boy fled, was able to fight him off long enough that when the villagers that was close by heard the screams and they came a running, and that boy was able to get away because Garnier ran away. So he was about to kill another one on the same day, but luckily it was close enough to town that the villagers heard it. So I would imagine, again, he does strangulation, ate on the spot the soft tissues that he could get to. And this time he took a leg with the boy, was taking it home. So I imagine him walking back home with that leg, and he sees another boy and thinks, that's supper
Yeah.
for next week too. So
I think Miko has entered the chat
Yeah.
behind us. He was up under the table. Okay, so we're the fourth victim
Mhm.
now. Okay. This is early November 1573. A girl is attacked in the meadows of,
La
I'm
Pope.
just going to say La Pope,
La Pope.
because that's how I'm going to pronounce
Yep.
it. Between Autumn and Chatenoy.
Chatenoy. Yeah, I know that one.
Garnier, he bit, scratched, strangled her, but he was actually interrupted by
Mhm.
people passing by at this point.
Yep.
The girl survives initially, but she died from her injuries a few days
Yeah.
later.
So again, he was interrupted. The first time with that boy just a few weeks earlier, and
Yeah.
then again with that girl. I guess he's having to hunt closer to home. I imagine when the kids start coming up missing, the parents are
Noticing?
so they're keeping them closer to home. So he's having to
Right.
hunt closer into the city
Yeah,
or into the towns. That ain't really a city, but
I would assume so. I mean, but these attacks are very, very raw. They're very bestial,
Mhm.
would be, I guess, the best word. Garnier used his hands and teeth to tear the flesh, often while they're still alive.
Yep.
Which is awful because most of these are children that we.
all of them were children.
Yeah. Which, you know me, that's always hard for me to talk about.
Well, they would be the easier targets too. So
Well, yeah, I mean they would be smaller, they would be weaker. Yeah, it would be an easy target for someone like this.
Mhm.
He is leaving these bodies partially devoured like animal prey. I
Yeah.
mean, we've even seen it on our own property here
Mhm.
at home. I mean, we found rabbit innards all over the place and everything because something just apparently didn't finish it off.
Right.
Witnesses at this point are reporting as seeing a wolf-like figure, but one evening a group of travelers from a neighboring town spotted Garnier in human form hunched over a dead child's body.
Caught in the act.
Like it, I mean, dim light, obviously, and everything. So I can kind of see, like, if you see somebody like hunched over a body like that and everything, it might look animalistic. I
Mhm.
can kind of see that.
Well, I think it's also your mind protecting yourself from what you're seeing too.
Yeah, because
So,
I mean, who would like? I don't want to think that another human being is capable of this.
mm-mm.
I don't like this idea. Like, none of it is. I mean, obviously, it's not a comforting thing if it was an animal, but it's slightly more comforting than if it was a human being who knew what they were
Mhm.
doing.
Yeah, and I read when I was reading through this, I didn't write it down, but there's reports that he was expected to wearing a pelt, like to make himself look like an animal too.
Yeah.
In some cases, that's why he was being mistaken for a wolf-like
You're right.
creature.
Yeah, I mean, these crimes total at least 4 confirmed deaths that we know
Yeah, that
of.
we know of. Yeah.
Rumors did suggest more. Garnier preyed on the weak during a time when child mortality from wolves and famine was already
Mhm.
high.
I think that's part of the reason he done the way he did is because it was mimicking actual attacks. So
I
he was
say
able to.
nobody would have really noticed or had an issue with animal. Like, I mean, obviously they would have had an issue
Yeah.
with the deaths and everything, but if it was an animal or famine, it would have been kind of like, okay, that seems natural.
Yeah,
Like,
let's say that's a natural thing. That's
yeah,
something that
they couldn't control it this time.
right. That's a natural occurrence, as sad as it is.
Yeah, for sure. I
But
mean,
now those sightings from the villagers or the passerbys that saw him
right.
hunched over the body was enough to get Garnier arrested in late 1573. So we know we're looking at November. So we're looking late November, sometime around there when he finally gets arrested.
Right.
Now they arrest him. They also arrest his wife Apolline, and again, local authorities they get them. Now, interrogation. We are familiar with modern interrogation and
Modern interrogation technique.
yes, and people talk about how torturous it is and waterboarding and all this kind of stuff and
Which I
how
would say,
brutal
obviously,
and
that is torture.
how brutal it is and all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. So, but in 1573, interrogation basically was torture, and it was standard for the area, not just in France, but basically everywhere.
Yeah.
And these included the rack, thumb screws, and hot pincers, which often produced fantastical confessions tailored to the inquisitor's
Well, okay.
expectations.
I've got these people that are now, I mean, they're putting thumb screws literally to me and
Mhm.
everything, twisting me on the rack, literally.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell them whatever they want to hear
I
at this point.
would
like, just
imagine-
to make it stop.
I would imagine a lot of the questions was, well, aren't you the one doing this? Twist, twist, twist.
Yeah.
Didn't you do this? Twist, twist, twist.
Like,
you know.
obviously, this is problematic
Yeah.
interrogation at this point.
Well, Garnier confessed that while forging in desperation now this is his words, a specter, which I guess would be like a phantom or we'd call a ghost or something like that,
right.
appeared in the forest offering an ointment to ease his hunger by transforming him into a wolf. The magical salve allegedly allowed him to shapeshift into the loup-garou, granting enhanced hunting abilities. He obviously strength too to be able to tear into the bodies.
I mean, you got to think he allegedly, we don't know that he's using weapons.
Yeah, I mean
at
they
this
said they
point,
was
like,
they thought that it was a wolf because of the tears and the teeth marks and the obviously consumption of the bodies, you know. Now he admitted under again interrogation. He admitted to 4
Interrogation.
murders, describing them in gruesome detail, including cannibalism and sharing flesh with his wife. The confession framed his acts as compelled by demonic forces, aligning with contemporary beliefs in the satanic pact, the
right. Lycanthropy.
lycanthropy,
Yeah.
the werewolfness.
Yeah.
Now, Apolline was implicated but not executed. Her fate remains unclear, possibly released back, because lack of direct evidence in the killings. She was basically just consuming the food and eating or cooking it, preparing it, and eating it. She didn't.
Right.
There's no proof that she was actually doing the killing, and he didn't, or Garnier didn't say that she was.
Right.
But I don't know if they released her or they just kept her captive. Or again, she
don't
was a
know. I
woman.
mean-
They may have very well killed her too, and just not.
As the
recorded
person who
it.
cooks like 99% of our meals, you start bringing home this kind of stuff. There's I'm gonna know what it is. Like, this is obviously not beef. This is obviously not chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to know something's up. And then I hear these stories of these children being brutally murdered, partially consumed,
Yeah.
and then parts of them taken away from the crime scene. Like, at this point, like, you have to know what's going on. At least in my mind. That's where I'm at on her aspect of this.
Yeah, but again, the desperation of you got to eat. If you don't eat,
Well,
you're gonna
yeah.
die. So maybe it was like, boy, this. Well, they say it tastes like pork. It's very pork consistent.
Well, that's what they call human long pig.
long pig.
Yeah.
So maybe she's like, hey, it's the other white meat. We're gonna eat. I ain't gonna ask no questions.
I mean, and I hate to say it, but when you get that desperate and everything, then it makes a certain morbid sense.
Yeah.
And
Well-
I absolutely hate that. Like, not condoning this in the least little bit. Like, I don't know. I mean, my brain always just balks at that very, very hard. Like, no, I couldn't do it. But I think that at a certain point, yes, I absolutely could.
Yeah,
And that's horrific. But
I think it's the guy. I think every guy. I don't know. I might not say that because we've all thought about in those situations, like it happened with Maroon Sailors. It happened with that soccer or whatever that team was that crashed into
there's the Donner
Alps.
Party,
You know,
too. Most infamously, probably the Donner Party.
yeah. At what point does your survival outweigh the taboo
Right.
of what you're doing? I'm thinking I'm not going to miss lunch if I have to. I mean, if they're already dead, don't let it go to waste.
But I say that's kind of the Donner Party. There is at least with them, I think that the ones that they consumed were already dead. They had died.
Yeah.
But we even had the conversation, and the Tiny Tyrant gets very mad at us because we have 3 dogs, and we're like, look, if it comes down to it, the dogs are getting eaten at some point. Like, if I need to feed my family, I'm going to feed my family. I'm going to make sure my family survives. And I absolutely hate that. But when you get to that level, like when you get to that point of desperation, something has to give.
Yeah.
And again, absolutely hate it. I do not like this part of me. But at the same time, I'm going to make sure our daughter gets fed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make sure she survives, like, above all else.
Yeah, and like I said, it's easy, like you're saying, to say, well, no. But when you actually logic it out, survival is you have to survive.
The survival instinct is the strongest instinct in any living creature.
Yeah.
Any of them.
Yep.
Does not matter what that creature is, human, animal, bug.
That's
even,
what I
like-
always find funny about people that's got that mindset. Oh, if we were just more like the animals, it'd be a better
Have
world.
you seen nature documentaries? Like, they are brutal, dude.
And I mean, you ain't got to do that part. Just take 2 hamsters, put them in the same cage. And watch what happens.
My brother actually did have a hamster that had babies and everything. She ate the babies.
Mhm.
Like, it was not good.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Okay, but anyway, back to our story here of Garnier.
Oh yeah, I forgot what we was doing. I was just talking about cannibalism.
Okay, his trial is held in Dole by the secular parliament. It's provided over by Grand Judge Henry Boget, or Boget, I don't know. B-O-G-E-T. So
Boget.
I'm French, I'm saying Boget.
Yep, that's what I would say.
He is a zealous prosecutor who equated werewolves with witches, and he actually instituted numerous death sentences, 17 in the year 1598 alone. Over 50 witnesses testified, linking Garnier to the attacks through sightings and rumors, which we know will not play out in court today the way
right.
we are, because that's hearsay. There's no evidence. Like, it would not ever be allowed in court. So Boget reconciled Catholic doctrine, which you had mentioned earlier, very heavily at this time, very heavily Catholic. Only God could truly transform humans. So, with the evidence by arguing that the devil created illusions of change, rendering the accused, Garnier, under satanic influence and deserving death. So, very, very similar to our witch trials and everything. It was demonic that was happening.
That and
So,
they
that was an automatic death sentence.
they ate meat on Friday.
Probably not so much that part, but
It was specifically mentioned that they ate meat on Friday, therefore, devil.
okay. So, Garnier is convicted of, quote, crimes of lycanthropy and witchcraft, with the trial emphasizing his deviation from Christian norms like family provision and poverty, or piety, at this point. So, a post trial edict in 1573 urged armed hunts for suspected continuing werewolfery,
Mm-hmm. I like that
which
word.
arming locals with pikes, halberds, which Jeff will probably love.
Mm-hmm.
They had pikes, they had halberds, axes, sticks, and they were allowed to pursue people without penalty.
Oh yeah.
So anybody that they even suspected of this, of werewolfery or witchcraft, they were able to pursue these people with weapons without penalty.
I'm going werewolfery instead of lycanthropy
Lycanthropy.
from now on. Werewolfery.
That is a
I
good
dig
one.
it.
That is a good one.
So Lake had a free hunting license like they did with the witches,
Pretty much, yeah.
with the werewolves.
And
So,
again, there was really no evidence. They didn't have to present anything to anyone to justify this,
mhm,
which is terrifying,
right.
you know? Like, I would be considered probably a witch by their standards now, with the plants, with everything else that I have in my apothecary books and everything, herbs, using all that. I'd be considered a witch.
You'd be considered a witch for your willingness to speak out, honestly.
Oh, and my ability to read.
Yeah.
Oh, our bedroom being a library would get me burned at the stake, like quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Immediately, yeah. So on January 18th, 1574, Garnier was burned alive at the stake in Dole. Punishment reserved for heretics and witches to purify the soul and prevent resurrection. Unlike more elaborate executions, which we will see in the next story, Garnier's was just very straightforward, but very agonizing, again, reflecting on the eras and the areas of barbarism. Would that be a good word?
Yeah.
Just the cruelty and just the rough
Well,
nature of the area,
you've got to think, like, burning at the stake, like, you're not dying of, like, smoke inhalation or anything like that. Like, it's literally burning you until, like, your body can no longer tolerate it.
Right.
So, yes, it's extraordinarily barbaric, was this method of execution.
Yeah. And like I said, it was slow because it was from the feet up. And, you
Yeah.
burn those nerve endings away as they go. So,
Yeah, but
it wasn't.
until those nerve endings, I mean, your body's probably going to go into shock before anything else,
Mhm.
which may help. I don't know. Like, this is not something I would ever want to ever experience.
Right. So, again, this is 1570s. Looking back at
Yeah.
Garnier now, what would you think? What do you think it was actually going on?
I think that he was very likely a serial killer who was just kind of exploiting this myth. That was his cover for the famine and the poverty that he and his wife were living in.
Yeah, the famine and the poverty would be the
I think
reason,
that
and he was using the
he was
werewolf
using that
fear.
as a justification,
Yeah.
basically, or at least maybe even trying to hide his crimes that way,
Mhm.
so that they wouldn't be looking for a human; they'd be
Yeah,
looking
for
for
a werewolf.
a wolf.
They was using that fear
Yeah.
to as a cover to get away with it. Yeah.
Now there are like modern day people, doctors, psychiatrists, everything have actually done an analysis of this case, and they suggest that what they call clinical lycanthropy which is a delusion of transformation, possibly triggered by ergotism, which is a hallucinogenic mold in rye bread.
Mhm.
Which, when I was watching that documentary recently on the witch trials,
Yeah.
a lot of those young girls, they were actively like going to these women's houses. They were making rye bread. They were consuming
Mhm.
it. And this was a natural mold found in it that did cause hallucinations.
Yeah, the history looking back on it, they think a lot of that
Yeah, I mean,
played a
that's
big part
very,
into
very
it.
common. Then there are some of them that suggested porphyria, which was photosensitivity, a sensitivity to light, and psychosis.
A sensitivity to light, and then psychosis, which is just
But I say bright, direct light and everything, so they wouldn't have been like this. Wouldn't have been triggered, or it would have been triggered in the daylight, so they avoided
Oh.
daylight. That's where like the nighttime aspect of this comes in.
Oh, okay, making them nocturnal.
Right. Which we know werewolves in history are.
Mhm.
They're nocturnal. Others did propose a
Trichiosis, the excessive hair.
trichiosis, yeah, just the excessive growth of hair
Mhm.
too. They looked furry. It's like Robin Williams.
Right.
Like, I mean,
Super
everybody
hairy, yeah.
everybody has seen Robin Williams.
Well,
very, very hairy man.
and also even the sideshow kids or sideshow people that had the werewolf boys.
Well, and you had your bearded
super,
ladies and
a lot of the
stuff,
hair
like,
growing and everything. So
you had your bearded ladies too.
Mhm.
So yeah.
so that kind of stuff would kind of play into their beastly descriptions and
Right.
appearances and stuff.
They also said melancholia was a factor in this, which that's just kind of like basically depression.
I think they blame that on everything.
Well, I mean, especially with women, like
Yeah. Hysteria,
yeah,
melancholia,
hysteria. Actually, the root and everything of that is
general bitchiness, things like that.
that's not okay.
Huh? That's a medical term. That's science. Don't argue with me. I can't help
I
it.
don't think that they use hysteria as any kind of psychological term anymore, because it was typically associated with women, and now we know that it's basically just like PMS.
Yeah. Moving on, because
I'm about to say he's about to get in trouble. Okay, so let's just go back to this. Sabine Baring Gold's book, The Book of Werewolves, which was published 1865.
Mhm.
Montague Summers' The Werewolf, 1933. They affirmed the historical accuracy of what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
So while critiquing the torture disguised as interrogation,
Yeah.
they, Michel de Montague, or Montague, condemned these executions as more barbaric than the crimes.
Yeah.
And I can actually see that.
Yeah,
aspect
the
of it. I can.
executions and the where they would interrogations and executions were probably more, if not more, than just as barbaric as
Right.
what-
I mean, we do know that this guy was literally like biting and tearing open children. So
Yeah, and I like to
to
say
me, I don't think that that is what happened to him was barbaric enough. But
Yeah.
that's just me.
but still he makes a good point in general. Especially today, such tactics would obviously be illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about coerced confessions on our show before.
Yeah.
And if these interrogations aren't the perfect example of a coerced confession, then I don't know what is.
Well, I mean, obviously, like I said before, like if you're putting the screws to me, if you're doing
where
all
that
these horrible
actually-
things,
That's where
like
that saying comes
I'm
from.
gonna
too.
tell you whatever you want to hear just to try and make it stop.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and that's how that worked back then.
Mhm.
I mean, even like the Spanish Inquisitions and everything. Of course, they're gonna agree. Oh my gosh, yes, I'm a witch and everything. Just please stop.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's what's happening here.
Yeah, and we're going to see more examples of that in the following accounts. It's really a shame because it casts doubt on the legitimacy of their guilt.
Yeah.
Like, I understand you found the guy that you wanted to be guilty, but what if there was still someone else out there? you know.
But I say, did these crimes continue even after you executed this person?
Yeah,
You know,
and we'll see.
and that's a genuine question
Yeah,
that should be asked.
we will see that coming up too. So we're going to head over to. We mentioned Germany earlier, so we're going to the heart of 16th century Germany. A time when faith and fear walked hand in hand, and superstition was a matter of life and death.
Because good things always come out of Germany
Yeah.
in the past.
The year was 1589, and the small town of Bedburg had become the stage for one of the most brutal and bizarre murder sprees in early modern Europe. For years, villagers whispered about a creature that haunted their fields and forests, something that moved like a man but killed like a wolf. Livestock was torn apart. Again, children disappeared on their walks to the market and out when they was playing, whatever they was doing. And again, bodies were found half eaten, with parts, including the hearts and other internal organs, completely missing. So we're seeing the same pattern here in Germany that we saw in France.
Right, and he's not talking metaphorically either. We're actual flesh torn clean off the bone.
Mhm.
The medical knowledge of that day was very primitive, given that date. Like,
Yeah.
even the most superstitious locals could tell these were not the teeth marks of an animal
Right.
at all. So now Bedburg is located in the Rhineland region of what is now North Rhine-Westphalia, Germany.
Right.
The late 16th century in this area was a powder keg of social, economic, religious turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
So the Rhineland was scarred by, I assume, the Cologne War.
Cologne War, yeah.
Which is not people spraying each other with cologne until they can't stand
it's
it
not
anymore.
It's not like Joey and the cowboy and friends, when they was doing that.
Yeah, it's nothing. That's not that type of cologne.
Mm-mm.
But that the Cologne War was 1583 to 1588, I believe.
Yep.
This is a brutal conflict between Protestant and Catholic forces during the broader 30 Years' War prelude, where roving bands of mercenaries, they would pillage village. Famine gripped the land due to crop failures, and plague outbreaks would decimate the populations of these places. Because, again, we're talking the 1500s, not quite 1600 at this point yet. Superstition is running rampant at this point in these areas. This is intertwined with the Lutheran and Catholic witch hunts. Germany alone saw about 300 werewolf trials between the 15th and 18th centuries, far fewer than the 30,000 to 45,000 witchcraft executions, but they were still fueled by the fears of demonic possession. Like, that was the kind of the core of it for werewolves and witches. The werewolf panics were particularly bad in forested, wolf-infested regions like Bedburg.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah. This is, actual wolf packs would prey on livestock, occasionally small children. So this started to blur the lines between natural predators and supernatural horrors.
All right. And you said werewolf panics, and just like the witch panics and stuff, because panic is definitely the right word.
For sure.
Because it didn't make any sense to them, right? Because it's too horrifying to think that a human could be doing such a thing. So they turned to the explanation that fit their world, and they said it's a werewolf. The story spread faster than the killings did. People started saying that the devil himself had sent a wolf man to punish Bedburg.
And you got to think about this. Like, okay, they knew it was a human. That's where the werewolf thing comes in. But they were now saying, like, okay, they have to be something else. It can't just be a human. Because, like, no human would do something this barbaric.
Mm-mm.
So they had to make it into something else, a human with something else. And apparently wolves, because at that time in that area, that's your biggest animal predator at this time.
And the wolves were bold enough to attack people.
Right. I mean, because I guess you got to think, like, if there's a famine going on, they don't have a lot of livestock. They don't. I mean, wolves are carnivorous, so I mean, small children. That's like up here in our own home where we live right now. That's like them attacking the cows, the goats, the chickens,
hmm
all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have that, if your area is experiencing that famine and you don't have that kind of livestock, yeah, the little ones, they're going to start going after.
Right.
So that would make sense to combine these two beliefs in their minds. It makes a certain amount of morbid sense to me.
hmm
So, I mean, these accusations would target the marginal men. They existed separate from the populace. They spent their lives outside. They were the herders, the hunters, hermits. They were outsiders.
Right.
They were seen as embodying masculine vices like strength, aggression, and a preference for isolation. So, what we would consider now toxic
Toxic
masculinity.
masculinity. Yeah.
Yeah. So tie that in now with the lycanthropy, which was heavily considered a type of male magic versus witchcraft, which was females. They would use tools like the amulets, cloaks, belts, and now you have this plausible, if not likely, explanation for these murders at that time.
Yeah. Again, it's their beliefs and superstitions intermingling here. And the
Yeah.
people of Bedburg, they had a name for their monster. They wanted a werewolf. But soon enough, that monster would wind up having a face. So in 1589, when locals tracked a wolf, quotes, to a kill site near a barn owned by a man named Peter Stump. Later, a farmer reportedly severed a wolf's paw in self-defense. And the next day, he finds Stump hiding a bandaged and mangled hand, which matched the alleged wolf paw.
Injury, yeah.
And shortly after, villagers claimed to have chased a wolf that shed its pelt mid-pursuit, revealing Stump naked and fleeing.
Okay, so these guys have created a sort of like Minutemen group.
Yeah, the people of Bedburg.
So they form like their own little posse, basically, to go find this creature.
Right.
They pick them in ready at a moment's notice to rally, give chase to the beast when the alarm was raised. So it is that one fateful day. The word rings out that the beast has now been spotted. The men spring into action. They pursued what was described as a massive wolf-like creature. The hunting party had dogs with them, hounds. They were able to track the monster into a thicket.
Yeah.
So, but reportedly, when the men arrived to the spot, they claimed none other than Peter Stump emerged from the thicket and no wolf was in sight.
Yeah, they couldn't find the wolf after that, but when they caught him, Peter Stump, it wasn't some hairy creature. There wasn't a wolf that crawled out, right?
Yeah.
So,
human man.
yeah, it's just a middle-aged dude, tired, dirty, but otherwise just a normal, ordinary guy. No claws, no fangs. He was disheveled and out of breath, but other than that, he looked like any other villager. And now, we had mentioned being an outsider or a hermit, and in the previous story, he was a hermit. But this guy, he did not fit those characteristics. Peter Stump was no outcast. Contemporaries described him as a prosperous landowner and miller, respected in the town of Bedburg, Cologne, and Ypres. So even the surrounding areas, he was well known. He exchanged pleasantries with the victims' families. He went to their funerals and things like that. I mean, he was a part of the community.
Right.
Now, he was widowed, and he had a daughter named Bill. Some say Sybil, but I think it's Bill short for Sybil. And a son, but he's unnamed. And he lives a seemingly ordinary, if not actually pretty prosperous life. He had a good piece of land,
that
and
would
he
have
had a
already
good
put
living.
him, because again, most of the men that were targeted for stuff like this, they were not wealthy men.
Mm-mm.
Like, didn't really even have families or anything.
Right.
So that already set this one apart.
Yeah. And what seems mighty convenient to me, whispers of his reclusiveness and herbal dabblings with poultices and medicines, and perhaps worst of all, he was a Protestant sympathizer in a heavily Catholic area.
Right.
And all this painted him as suspicious well before the werewolf allegations came to be. So, yes, he was a prosperous man known to the community and very, very cordial and friendly, but still he didn't quite fit in to
With the
their,
rest of them.
to the
And
rest of them.
yeah.
He wasn't necessarily wrong in what we would consider wrong, but he just didn't fit the mold.
At that time, like, he was not like the rest of them, basically.
Right.
So, I mean, that convenient history or not, Stump is arrested in the field that day. He endures the era's standard interrogation.
Again.
So, I mean, again, let's be very, very clear on this. This is torture. This is not gentle questioning.
Right.
Like, no, this man was put through it.
Yeah. It says he was on the rack, which is stretching limbs to the point of dislocating joints, again with the thumb screws.
The red hot pincers.
The red hot pincers.
Yeah.
And the red hot pincers, they would heat them up in the coals and get them literally red hot, and then they would basically clip chunks of skin off of you, the nipple regions, the
sensitive areas,
the fatty folds, things
nothing
like
that
that.
would kill you immediately.
No, they wanted
they wanted it to last. It's actually what comes next, though, in Stump's interrogation that makes him infamous, and that's why we're covering this case. Under that interrogation, he is voluntarily confessing to making a pact with the devil at age 12.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a forest crossroads ritual involving black magic, Satan gifted him a belt of wolfskin that was smeared with, quote, blood and ointment. This granting transformation into a ravenous beast with fiery eyes, razor teeth, and an insatiable bloodlust.
Right.
As a wolf, he rampaged for, he says, 25 years. Killing for pleasure, not just hunger. Drinking the blood, gnawing at organs, and committing incest with his own daughter, Beale, who we mentioned a minute ago.
Yeah.
Who he also accused of luring victims for him.
As an accomplice, then.
Yeah, she was apparently in on it. He also confesses now to consorting with a succubus paramour sent by the devil.
A woman.
Yeah. Yeah. He details like 16 murders, including wartime atrocities where he joined mercenaries as a hellhound.
Yep.
And admitted to Beale's complicity, his daughter, and an affair with Mistress Catherine Chompin, who he also named as an accomplice, but she fell short of participating in any murders.
Yeah, she didn't lure anybody, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, she was not, again, the daughter, he says, was his accomplice.
Right.
She would lure victims in for him.
Well, the crimes attributed to him began in the early 1580s, amid the Cologne Wars, we mentioned that earlier, when unsolved mutilations could be blamed on bandits or beasts. And over the years, at least 16 people were killed, 14 children, including his own son, whose brain he allegedly devoured raw. Yeah.
Again, I go back to like the Hannibal movies.
You don't want to hear this part either.
Probably not. 2
of his victims were pregnant women, and he confessed to eating the fetuses from them. He took them out and ate them too. And also, not just women and children, he killed several men as well that he reported to. Victims were savagely torn apart, throats ripped, entrails strewn, partial cannibalism evident, obviously. with bodies dragged into the woods like prey. I mean,
Right.
so then you have the livestock attacks, including eviscerated cattle, compounding the terror. Initially pinned on wolf packs, but shifting to a werewolf as skills showed.
You've got to think like what we know of wolves, coyotes, all of that. Like if they're going to kill something, they're going to eat it. They're going to consume it.
At
This
least
is like
the soft parts.
partially done. Like animals are not going to leave that much behind. They're just not.
Well, they're going to eat all the soft tissues and stuff. They won't necessarily eat the whole animal all at once. But now they shifted it to werewolf as kills showed cunning, and then the reports of children being lured into the woods, signs of bait, basically, because there would be treats and things like that left around some of the bodies.
Basically, our stranger with candy.
Yeah. Women were attacked on isolated paths. One chilling detail from folklore-tinged accounts, again, Stump supposedly attacked 2 sisters in the forest, devouring one while the other escaped to raise the alarm. The murders and savagery attributed to Stump were as numerous as they were disturbing, and honestly, they was as numerous as they were arguably not him as well. I mean, I think a lot of this stuff could be attributed to actual animals.
It very well could be. I mean, this trial is a spectacle, like ecclesiastical Inquisition level spectacle. And it took place in Bedburg. It lasted weeks. It blended werewolf hysteria with anti-Protestant purge.
Yeah, the anti-Protestant purge.
Because you got to keep in mind, like, and even today, Protestants, Catholics, we still have our disagreements and disputes. Beale, the daughter, and Trompin were implicated as witches aiding a lycanthrope. So, aiding the werewolf. October 31st, Halloween.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool,
Yeah.
too.
1589, Halloween 1589. Stump, who was 50 at the time now, is executed in one of history's most barbaric manners.
Yeah.
Like, it's rough.
Germany wasn't playing on this one.
Germany really never plays when it comes to barbarism. Like, when they go all out. He is strapped to a breaking wheel. His flesh is now flayed with red hot tongs, like literally glowing at the time that they strip his flesh from him, still red hot. His limbs are smashed with iron bars. His body is decapitated, then burned to ash on a pyre to prevent resurrection.
Yep.
His severed head is spiked onto a pole after this, outside of Bedburg, and adorned with a wolf effigy as a deterrent.
Yeah, they drew what he would look like as a werewolf, kind of, and hung it up under the head.
Right. His daughter, Beale, she's tortured, she's beheaded, and she's burned too. And then Trompin is also burned alive.
Yeah, they got the whole crew. And with all that in mind, now, compared to what we would consider, there's no physical hard evidence. Like they never found the wolf pelt belt.
Yeah.
Obviously, none of that was ever produced in court. There's no court records survived to this day. We rely on our information from a 1590 London pamphlet, and it was translated from the German original, and it's illustrated with some crude woodcuts of Stumps transforming, confessing, and burning on the pyre. I don't have all those photos. I have them, but I'm not going to put them up there. The pamphlet sold across Europe, and Dutch and French and English editions spread the tale virally. I mean, this is basically like TikTok or Instagram, but back in the
that
day,
day
right?
and age, viral.
Yeah, and it influenced the werewolf lore by codifying the motifs like the devil's belt, the male shapeshifters, the savagery, the cannibal incest taboos. And you see that played out even in movies and things like that today. The pelt, the something that changes you into the werewolf. It's not just a bite. more common now is considered a bite and some sort of bacterial infection that causes it. But
Right. It's something in the bodily fluids,
yeah,
basically, nowadays.
but this pamphlet, again, this is from 1590. I'm going to read it. The titled "A True Discourse Declaring the Damnable Life and Death of One Stubble Peter, 1590."
Stub. There's no L.
Stub Peter.
Or
So Peter
Stubby,
Stube.
I guess.
Yeah.
Stubbe.
Yeah, it's Peter Stub. So here we go. Certain wicked and most damnable acts committed by a rich farmer named Stub Peter, dwelling in the town of Bedburg, near the city of Colin, who, in the likeness of a wolf, committed many murders and slaughters of men, women, and children, for the space of 25 years, continuing this devilish practice even to his dying day. This Peter was of a wealthy estate and of good calling, but given over wholly to the devil, whose name he confessed he called upon from the age of 12 years, by whose means he became most monstrous and did commit these cruel and bloody acts. The devil gave unto him a girdle, which being put about him, he was straight transformed into the likeness of a greedy, devouring wolf, strong and mighty, with eyes great and flaming, his mouth of most monstrous wildness, and sharp and cruel teeth, a huge body, and mighty paws.
I said, do you have the...
I'm just kind of getting it. When the girdle was off, he became again like unto a man, as he was before. In the likeness he many times took pleasure to walk among the fields, who, when he espied any opportunity to work mischief, he would change himself into the form of the wolf, and so follow the passage of men, women, and children, and so seize upon them and eat their very flesh from their bones. And that he had devoured and eaten a sundry young children, women great with child, yea, and men that came in his way. Such was the greedy desire he had to fill his hunger with human flesh. He confessed he had eaten the hearts of 9 men and the bodies of 13 women and 2 children. He confessed also that he had abused his own daughter, named Bill, committing incestuous adultery with her, and that he had also companied with one Catherine Trumpkin,
Katharina.
a woman of evil fame, and that they both knew of this being a wolf and were consented to the same. So basically, they knew about it and was
Right.
fine with it. At length, the inhabitants of the country, perceiving such horrible slaughters committed, gathered themselves to hunt the wolf. In the end, they espied him and followed with hounds
Hallowed.
after him until he was taken, at which time he took off his girdle and became in the shape of a man, and so was apprehended and brought to examination. Being put to the rack, he confessed to all before the magistrates of the town, who, in the presence of many witnesses, heard his confession and judged him to die for the same. Whereupon he was laid upon a wheel, his bones broken with an axe. Afterwards his head cut off, and his body burned to ashes. His daughter and concubine were likewise burned, because they were known to be accessories to the detestable and damnable deeds. This horrible and damnable history happened on the 31st of October, 1589, at Bedburg, near Kolin in Germany.
Yeah. I mean, that's rough.
Oh, yeah. Like modern scholars, like William de Blacourt, dismissed his confession as torture-inducing fabrication tailored to the Inquisitor's werewolf template amid the Cologne War scapegoating. Same thing we saw earlier in
Yeah,
Dole.
I mean, but his Stump's wealth and his lack of Catholic faith too makes him a target for land grabs and Catholic loyalty tests that were done at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Forensics were, like you mentioned before, like we have nothing to go off of. I mean, there was basically no evidence. But wound patterns, which they were very precise slash marks, suggesting blades and not claws, for sure. Luring tactics point to a human serial killer who was just exploiting this werewolf myth.
Yeah, as cover, like we
Yeah.
talked about in the earlier.
Probably, like we said, driven by the famine-induced psychosis, or just pure sadism. Like they just wanted to inflict pain. No evidence of actual lycanthropy, but this case does exemplify how folklore veils depravity.
Right.
You know, this fueled the werewolf myth in Europe. And centuries later, like it's still echoing to this day. We still have actual like folklore and everything in Germanic countries about werewolves.
Right.
Peter Stump's story endures as a very, very grim reminder of superstition's human cost. Through folklore podcasts, even in the metal band Powerwolf song 1589. Like, I mean, that's actually a thing.
I actually have 1589. I'll play a little bit of it.
In the name of the high and mighty, 1589, 1589.
I don't have it.
Women and children devoured, slayed on full moon nights, left on traces of the bites. One hand.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the story goes, if you strip away this medieval language and all the superstition that goes along with it, what you have now is a modern psychological profile. This is a sexual sadist to me with deep psychopathy and cannibalistic tendencies. So almost very much a Jeffrey Dahmer type is what I would compare it to. Because again, sexual sadist, deep psychopathy, cannibalistic tendencies would be very much a Jeffrey Dahmer type these days. Rationalizes his behavior by externalizing it. He's projecting it outwards. It wasn't me. It was the beast.
Yeah, that makes sense. He could blame it on something else.
Right.
So, I mean, we're seeing some replays from the last story.
Very much patterns.
And like I said, that pattern will keep showing up as we move forward tonight. We have another one. People using monsters, whether literal or imagined, to deflect responsibility, just like you were saying. The werewolf of Bedburg.
I say it wasn't me. It was Mr. Jekyll or Dr. Hyde or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the werewolf of Bedburg marks a turning point, though. It's the first fully documented and recorded case where myth and murder fully merged. From here, the centuries roll on, but the pattern doesn't change. When fear grips a community, reason becomes the first casualty. And in 1764, a monster would rise from the forest again in France, one that would terrorize the countryside and whose legend still stalks popular culture today.
I actually want to, you just said it, when fear grips a community, reason becomes the first casualty. I actually, we're off script right now. I've always said that the reason the Democrats are so powerful right now is because fear is the best way to control a populace.
For sure.
They are making people, oh, you're afraid of tyranny, you're afraid of fascism. Now I have a solution for this. So of course you make people terrified, and then you can get them, as long as you promise them a solution, they'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I did want to touch on that real quick. So I went off script. But yeah, and I don't know how to pronounce necessarily this one.
The Beast of Gouvedon.
Gouvedon. It's an isolated, impoverished Highlands area in south central France. And this is happening in June of 1764 to June of 1767.
Mm-hmm.
This one claimed like 113 lives, so that's probably our biggest one of the night.
Mm-hmm.
98 were mauled. Many of them were partially devoured. Over 200 attacks across a 55 by 50 mile area.
Yep.
So not a huge
I mean, that's
territory
a
here.
big spot, but not what you would imagine for
No,
that kind of violence.
this is a rural backwater, and they're already like reeling from the 7 Years' War, the economic fallout of that. Wolf depredations were common, but this savagery was unprecedented for this area. So, Gouvedon, this is a Protestant enclave amid Catholic France.
See that again,
I'm about to
too.
say that's another pattern that's emerging. This is very feudal, very famine prone. Peasants are herding sheep in wolf territory, basically, at this point. Mercois, Madrid attacks, they targeted the vulnerable. Women were 60% of these, as documented.
Yeah.
Children under 14 were 42% of these attacks. Lone men, often in daylight and villages, were 22% of cases. The beast is boldly ignoring gunfire or cattle until later caution, which we're going to touch on. The victims, they suffered their throats being torn out, decapitation, eviscerations. Again, heads are carried off, so there's our decapitations there. Bones are actually even being piled up in piles. So eyewitnesses have described a russet-furred, calf-sized quadruped with dark dorsal stripes, a tufted tail, elongated greyhound-like head, so the longer snout on it for sure. Pointed ears, a wide maw, and cat-like agility. This creature bounds over walls, is flying through fields. Even more strangely, is neighing, similar to horses.
Yeah.
So it's making horse noises. They said it seemed bulletproof. It was omnipresent with multiple dailies attack that were kilometers apart, like miles and miles apart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's walking bipedally, so it's walking upright on two legs.
Right.
The bishop described this at the time as a supernatural being that was summoned by God as a scourge on this.
Scourge upon the land.
Yeah.
So we have a list of, like a timeline of some of the more popular, or not popular, but documented attacks. June 30th, 1764, Jean Bollet, a 14-year-old, was the first confirmed kill near Les Hubac-Langon. Her throat was ripped out, buried sans rights as ferocious beast victim. So they actually just buried her body, kind of just chucked it in the ground, and said that she was killed by some beast.
Which is awful. Okay, 14 years old, that's only 2 years younger than our own daughter. And my brain always goes there because child victims get me every time.
Well, August 8th, 1764, 14-year-old girl slain in Mesmagin. Late 1764, cluster in McCroy Forest, Allier Valley, had lone tenders mauled.
What would lone tenders? I mean, I assume tenders might be self-explanatory there. I don't know.
And December 31st, 1764, Bishop's prayer mandible frames as a divine. Mandible. He mandates a divine punishment. This is where he talks about it's a beast, right?
Right. And that is sent by God.
So that's just kind of the timeline of where we're going. So another victim, January 12th, 1765, Jacques Portefeuille, 10-year-old, and
we're trying to pronounce French names,
and
guys.
7 other children actually repel the beast. They fight back basically, and they have some damage. One of their cheeks was torn on one of the child, and And at this point, a royal reward for the beast is offered following that attack.
So, king and everything got involved.
On February 11th, a 12-year-old girl devoured in Les Malzous.
Yeah, that was 1765.
Yeah, we're all in 1765 right here.
Okay.
February 17th, through June of 1765, royal hunter Day and Eville arrives with his hounds, and he starts hunting, and he kills many, many wolves, but he fails to find what they deem the beast.
So, I mean, he actually is hunting wolves at this point.
Yeah, he's killing anything that fits the mold. And August 11th, 1765, Marie Jeanne Vallée, known as the Maid of Gouvion, 20 years old, spears what she claims to be the beast near the Paulhac stream. And again, this is a woman, basically a woman warrior. So September 20th or the 21st of 1765, Francois Antoine bags,
Francois.
whatever.
I at least know how to pronounce
bags
that
a 32. Now listen to this: a 32-inch tall at the shoulder, 5'7" long, not including the tail, 135 to 150 pound wolf near the Chazes Abbey. Now, after that, the attacks do pause for a little while.
Okay, for a gray wolf, that's huge.
Yeah, very big. We'll actually hear later that we'll hear more about that. But December 2nd, 1765, 2 boys, 6 and 12, fended off an attack near Sauges, Germany, or France. December 1765 to early 1766, a dozen deaths near the Le Besser Sainte Marie, reports of a beast completely fearless of herds and of people. So now we're getting back to more deaths coming up and sightings of something that is not afraid.
Well, to me, like, okay, my brain, the way it works, like, if there is like a shortage of prey or something, yes, we often see, we've even seen coyotes come up and attack, homes in our community
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, because like they're trying to find food, they're trying to survive. So I mean, you talk about like this is completely fearless of herds of animals and other people.
Yeah.
If it is an animal, then that means it's a starving animal and it's just going to try to eat.
Right.
Like, so it's going to get over that fear of being attacked by a herd or being, shot by a person or something.
So by January 1st, now we're moving into 1766, the beast attacks are now confirmed. They are back on 100%. They're rolling, right? So by March of 1766, the peak in
Troimont.
Yeah, it's a damn mountain. The beast is seen repeatedly, but seems to be edgier and more cautious at this point. It's because the hunt is on at this point.
And it knows it.
Yeah.
It seems to be very aware of that.
Yeah. Now, during that spring, there is a lull in attacks and in sightings, but after a while, there's a resurgence comes back up, right? So
a year has passed now.
Yeah, we're into June 17th, 1767. Jeanne Bastide, 19, he gets killed in the Des area. Now, he's considered the last of the kills, right? June 19th, 1776, John Castell shoots a beast on the mount that we mentioned earlier during a hunt led by another guy, and the autopsy was
Marquis something.
The autopsy was done by Dr. Bolanger, and he notes a wolf-like canine. The remains were put on tour in Paris, and it was like carried around. People was showing it off and all this stuff.
Tour.
But they don't call it, like earlier we mentioned, the giant gray wolf. They don't call this a wolf. This is a wolf-like
it's also
canine.
Not a human. They're not saying it's a man at all. So the king at this time, he has now deemed the threat to be over.
Mm-hmm. King Louis XV.
Yeah, he is now showering the hunters involved in the killing with wealth, and he has the creature stuffed.
Mm-hmm.
It turned into basically what would account to a media frenzy
Yeah.
in our terms. They report in every paper, from the Avignon Courier to the Boston papers.
Yep. Across the
So they
seas.
have sensationalized this royal heroism at the time and made a mockery of of anyone who spoke out against the legitimacy of the beast.
Yeah, they wanted this to be it.
But okay, here's what gets me: the killings have continued.
Yeah, the killings don't stop. They
Yeah.
just stop attributing to them to a monster, to a werewolf.
Yeah, but the very, very similar killings are continuing to happen.
And what's funny, and like I said, we like to, hence the name forensics, we like to look into that stuff. But back then, they didn't add up at all. The bodies were mutilated with a precision that didn't look animalistic.
If I say animals, they're gonna tear, they're gonna rip, and everything. It's gonna be very, very brutal. It's gonna be
Yep.
very, very rough.
But some
But
of these
the
were,
bodies, the cuts and everything were precise.
yeah, they were clean cuts.
Yeah.
The decapitations were clean. The clothing was actually cut away cleanly, not torn away, but like cut like with a knife or a bladed weapon of some sort.
Some kind of scissors, maybe, or something.
Yeah, some of the women had been partially undressed. Could be like a sexual motive thing too,
For
but
sure.
not torn away, but just undressed.
Yeah.
So that's not wolf-like.
I was about to say any kind of animal is not going to take the time to undress somebody before they attack them.
Mm-mm.
Those clothes are going to have the tear marks, the rip marks, the teeth marks.
Yeah.
It's going to be very sloppy,
Exactly.
basically. So while everyone else is hunting a beast, an animal, at this point, I think it's very, very likely there was at least one human killer.
Yeah.
It could have actually been like more than one person at this time, like taking advantage of this chaos.
Especially with them talking about attacks being kilometers or what we would consider miles
Yeah.
apart on the same day.
Yeah. Like, there's no way that a human, even an animal, would have been able to do those two
Yeah.
same attacks
Likely not.
that
right.
far apart on the same day.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. The region was deeply rural. Communication was slow. Panic was everywhere. If you were a murderer in the 1760s France and the country believed in the supernatural monsters was already doing the killings, I mean, you could hunt under the perfect cover, you know?
I always, like, to me, the time frame and everything, and especially being in Europe, my brain always goes to Jack the Ripper, you know?
Mhm.
Which I do think that he took advantage of, like, people not understanding evidence and forensics and all that kind of stuff. And plus, like, prostitutes were easy targets.
Right.
Nobody really cared. That's how my brain always kind of goes with that for this time. But, I mean, in that same vein, you would be remembered as a legend,
Yeah.
not a man.
Yeah, like not like legend as in sports legend, but like the horror
Well,
legend.
I was
you
about to
know?
say, I mean, a legend is a legend.
Yeah.
There's just different versions of it, different
Right.
genres, I guess you could
Yeah,
say.
yeah. Historically, we know that several wolves, actual real wolves, were killed and presented as the beast. I mentioned that one in 1767 by the hunt that Chastel guy,
Jean Chastel.
the big
yeah.
one. It was a big one. They said it was so large that it took 6 men to carry it.
I
And
mean, for a wolf and everything, God
Mhm.
almighty, that is huge.
now the royal court proclaimed that the terror was over at that point, but the parish records show that the attacks continued even after that. But again, the 5'7" wolf, 130 something pound wolf,
I'm
This-
5'7".
this wolf-like creature, this wolf-like canine that Chastel killed, that they deemed to be the terror over wolf, the one they stuffed, apparently was bigger than it, because they said they took 6 men to carry it, but they don't give the actual, measurements of it, which I think is frustrating to me. But
I say I'm 5'7". They say
Mhm.
this thing was 5'7".
yeah,
Like if I were to stand up, like that's very, very tall.
and I said not including the tail. That's just
Yeah.
measuring from snout to butt. You know.
Oh, so lengthwise, not
mhm.
height.
No,
Okay.
no,
I'm
lengthwise.
talking height. Like that's what I was
It was
going with
it
that.
was 32 inches at the shoulder, so almost as tall as your counter at the shoulder.
Jeez, that's still big.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
big
huge.
animal.
Yeah.
um,
But like I said, even after they killed it and stuffed it and paraded it around and had all their fanfare, the killings kept going.
yeah. So this to me suggests that the wolf explanation does not fit
Right.
at all. And we do have modern historians that offer theories on this, which is one or more serial killers, which to me makes the most sense.
hmm
Some of them give theories on attacks with trained dogs.
Yep.
That would give you your animalistic aspect to these crimes. Another one gives credit to soldiers who went rogue after the 7 Years' War.
hmm
So, I mean, to me, the serial killer one taking of this panic and all this stuff, that makes the most sense to me.
Yeah, and I mean the forensics. There's forensics that backs that up too. Again, many of the wounds showed knife cuts or a bladed cut. You know, not tearing like claws or teeth would do.
I say teeth, even human teeth, forensically,
Yep.
they tear, they don't slice.
Right. And even the eyewitness accounts said that they was upright, bipedal, upright
Yeah.
like a man.
Yeah, walking on two legs.
Yeah. The pattern fits a predator, but a human predator, not a
Right.
not a wolf.
And I
Again,
mean,
there was wolf attacks, but a lot of it
I
doesn't
would,
fit a wolf.
I don't know. I mean, either the eyewitness accounts were hysterical, I guess, like in the heat of the moment, in the fear of it and everything, you would say, okay, wolf like, but stood up on two legs.
Mhm.
But to me, at the same time, I'd be like, okay, if I want people to think it's something like this, I'm going to put on animal pelts.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go, like, that's going to be my disguise.
Well, the Wolf of Dole, there was reports that that's what he did. He wore a pelt
yeah.
to make him look more like a werewolf.
So
So-
this moral panic is it tells us something about the power of collective fear, which again I mentioned when I went off script earlier. When you make people afraid of something, you have power over them.
Right.
So collective fear is hugely beneficial to people in power. Once a community decides that a monster is real, the evidence bends to now fit this myth. Like you're making the evidence fit what you already want to believe.
Yeah.
The beast becomes a mirror that reflects the anxieties of that time. And I mean, we even do see this with modern day serial killers. So there's at this time, there's that religious doubt, there's that social upheaval, and the vulnerability of life at that time, especially the rural life. Like, I mean, they don't have, I mean, they're kind of separated from the rest of society. They're on their own.
Right. And like I said, it creates a perfect cover.
It really does.
The perfect way for them to hide. You know, it makes sense.
So yeah, to me, if Doles and the Bedburgs werewolf, if that's one man hiding behind a legend, to me, this other one is a legend hiding probably several people.
Yeah. Yeah. This next story, we'll just kind of gloss over it because it's a lot of the same what we were just talking about. It doesn't
Very similar.
It wouldn't
yeah.
pinpoint one man as a killer, but instead it shows how folklore can create the perfect cover for the beast within to get away with murder. And we'll kind of end on this story. We'll just kind of go through it and discuss it a little bit.
Yeah, we're moving forward now nearly a century.
Yeah. Yeah, we
So-
should be in the 1800s now.
Yeah, we're the wilderness is changing. The myths and psychologies don't change here.
Mhm.
We are seeing this kind of carry through these centuries. Manuel Blanco Romasanta, I think is how you say his name. He's born on November 18th of 1809. somewhere in Spain. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce all these
Yeah, he's in
different
Spain.
places.
Yeah, we're
but
moving to
he's-
Spain
he-
now.
Yeah, he's Spanish, still Europe, but like not Mexican Spanish,
Yeah,
European Spanish.
And this one's actually interesting too
Yeah,
about because what we're doing now, we're talking about a gender dysphoria as well on this one. So,
yeah, it is very interesting.
mhm,
At birth, he is registered as Manuela because his parents presented the baby was female.
mhm,
Only later, some sources that we looked over today said about age 6, he was actually determined to be biologically male.
mhm.
And that was done by a doctor during an exam to determine a different illness, a
Yeah.
completely unrelated thing. Whether this was due to intersex characteristics or differences, disorders of sexual distinction or something, whatever it's called, DSD conditions. Whether that's a mistake or not is not known with any kind of definitive medical record here
Yeah, we're just going off the basically
of what's presented.
what's
that we
presented and what was
found,
talked
yeah.
about. But
He-
basically,
yeah.
the doctor was checking him out for whatever illness and realized this is a guy.
I'm about to say this is not a female. This
He's
is
got
not
a-
a girl.
He's got a doobie. He can't be a girl. So they had to this.
Honey,
Is this the Hollywood area of Spain? Because apparently all their kids over there are
okay,
becoming.
you're just gonna shush
crossed
now.
I'm sorry. What? Is doobie too far? A dingaling?
Okay,
Is that okay?
So this boy grows up in rural Galicia in a time and place, very, very deep poverty, like impoverished area. Due to like difficult travel, we have very patchy medical records here. This area is also strong superstition. By many accounts, this man is very small of stature. They say he's some of the sources we found said between 4'6" and 4'9".
Yeah.
So his features are also described as gentle, tender, or effeminate in some of the community. He is married for a brief time, but in 1833 his wife dies, and of what we found today, they don't implicate him in her death at all.
No, it was a natural death.
So after she passes, Roma Santa took up traveling work. He was a salesman, guide, a traveling merchant, but he kind of stuck to what we would consider difficult terrain, like the
Mhm.
mountains, the forest.
Yeah,
He would escort or help people travel across remote passes and sell goods along the way to
he
those
specialized in the
areas.
rough terrain, the rural
Yeah.
areas, and over the years, stories accumulated of people, again, often women and children, who hired Roma Seta as a guide or helper in journeys, sometimes to other provinces or larger towns, and those people never arrived. And families often got letters or messages purporting to be from the missing, saying they had safely reached their destination. And in many cases, those letters turned out to have been written by Roma Santa himself. And rumors began to spread that he was selling the belongings of the vanished, clothes, personal items,
We have
things
seen
like
that in
that.
other killers too. So.
And even more grisly or horrifying is the allegation that he was rendering the human fat from his victims to make the soap that he was selling.
Which, okay, that brings to mind Fight Club.
Mhm.
Because that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
Said we were selling their own fat asses back to them, I think is the line
Right.
from the movie.
Well, again, those rumors at the time they sound like obviously horrific, but they kind of sound like folklore material,
Rumors, the urban legends.
Right. But also from part of what brought more scrutiny onto him, the disappearances, and then these rumors really started making people watch him,
Yeah. They started connecting dots.
Yeah. Whether the dots needed to be connected or not, that's what they were doing.
Yeah, so those disappearances, now we've reached a tipping point
Mm-hmm.
in this case. In September of 1852, Roma Santa was arrested in Nambela, which is a province of Toledo.
Spain again, not
Yeah.
Ohio.
He's brought back to Galicia to face trial in Alariz. Under interrogation, he is now confessing to 13 murders. But his defense is weird. He claims that he was afflicted by a curse or condition called lycanthropy that caused him to transform into a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
So in his telling, his transformations were not metaphorical, they were literal.
Yeah,
Like
physical.
they said
yeah.
that he claimed that he is literally transforming into a
Mhm.
wolf.
And we got his own testimony too here.
Yeah, I mean to give you a feel of that horror, and these are his own declarations as recorded in case documents that we found. And I'm just going to quote from here. The first time I transformed, I was in the mountains of Cusco. I came across two ferocious looking wolves. Suddenly, I fell to the ground, began to have convulsions. I rolled over 3 times, and a few seconds later, I myself was a wolf. I was out marauding with the other two for 5 days until I returned to my own body, the one you see before you today, Your Honor. The other 2 wolves came with me, whom I believed were also wolves that they changed into human form. They were from Valencia, one called Antonio, the other Don Gennaro. They too were cursed. We attacked and ate a number of people because we were hungry.
Yeah. This is the part that captures imagination, but also raises the skeptical questions. Physical transformation into wolves are not supposed to be any kind of medical evidence. And they had no skulls or tissues with werewolf marks. Yet his confession is vivid, detailed, consistent in certain respects, and was taken seriously enough to generate a huge trial and medical testimony.
I mean, I do want to interject here because I'm sorry that it's just no. Humans don't transform into animals. Like
Again, you're looking at what 1800s, whatever it was. So
I mean, it just even back then. I don't know.
So the trial, we'll get into the trial, the evidence. We'll look at the arguments and everything real quick. The trial in Alariz was massive and has become famous in Spanish legal history. It's lasted for 7 months, and the case record filed over 2,000 pages, bound in 5 volumes under the title Lycanthropy. Werewolfery.
I say it's in Spanish, but
Yeah. So
but it means lycanthropy.
prosecutors and defense clashed on many points. Roma Santa's own confession versus the physical evidence, which we talked about that,
Yeah, many of the missing persons cases had almost no remains whatsoever.
Mhm.
Others had suspicious bones or clues. In some instances, the forensic examiners concluded the cause of death matched wolf attacks. That was 4 out of the 13 confessed murders.
Yeah.
For those 4, he was acquitted on the logic that real wolves, not human hands, were responsible for that.
And for the remainder, the 9 others, the bodies or remains showed signs of butchering, dismemberment, deliberate human action, not just animal carnage or scavengery. Manuela and Petra Garcia, 47 and 15 years of age. Their throats were torn out and killed.
Benita Garcia Blanco in San Francisco,
age 34 and 10. They were clubbed to death and reported that their bodies were rendered for fat.
Just kind of a brutal process to do that, by the way.
Yeah, Antonia and
Peregrina,
37, an unknown name of them. They were found dismembered with parts missing.
We've got Josefa Garcia and Jose Pazos.
Both 21.
They were eviscerated.
Mm-hmm. Maria Dolores was 12, and she was murdered, and also her body was rendered down as well for the fat. Others, Carmen, sister-in-law, was assaulted for insulting him. Now, these are his own relatives that
Right.
that went to court and what's the word? Testified against him.
Right.
Not killed, obviously, but just for insulting him, she was assaulted. And then Taylor's Domingo and Francisco Olega were attacked together, but they actually fought back and was able to escape.
Yeah, they fled.
Now, here's where it gets funny, or not funny, but strange. The crime scenes descriptions report victims were butchered like livestock, and the vats full of fat were indeed found. So that makes you think the rumors of melting them down for soaps and candles and stuff was accurate.
For sure.
And I mean, if they had the vats of fat, I mean, that's probably what was going on.
Yeah. So the defense is now asking him to demonstrate his transformation in court.
Mm-hmm.
Roma Santa, he countered that the curses period had expired just before the trial, like he was cured and could no longer transform.
Yeah, convenient, huh?
Yeah.
Now they did do examinations on him, and they considered reports looking for physical signs, performed what they considered forensics back then, again on the bones and skulls, the condition of the remains, but no convincing proof of the natural wolf transformation was found, and many of the physicians concluded the stories were delusions or just straight up fabrications.
So at least they were somewhat smart back then.
Yeah.
Like, obviously this is, I mean, he's not transforming into a wolf.
No.
Like,
well, he was cured, so.
Yeah, he got better.
I'm much better now.
So, we got to roll right through. On April 6th of 1853, the court of Alaris convicted him of 9 murders, acquitting him of 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
He is sentenced to death by Garrett, which is
Garrote,
strangulation.
isn't it? Yeah.
Ordered to pay compensation.
To the families.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly how much that would translate to. The story does not actually end here. The sentence is ratified by higher courts, but then Queen Isabel II issued a royal decree that commuted his death sentence to life imprisonment, reportedly influenced by medical experts, which included a French hypnotist, Dr. Phillips, who urged that his alleged lycanthropy or mental health be studied more carefully.
Yeah, so basically his punishment changed from execution to indefinite life in prison, basically, because he was crazy, right? He does wind up dying in prison. He was shot by a guard who wanted to force him into transformation, but when he couldn't do it, the guard shot him, and he dies in prison. And again, he's become Roman Santa has become folk legend there now in Spain.
Right.
You can find several books and other reports about him too. It's very compelling and very, it's amazing stories that you can look through it. So what we've learned from these stories tonight is that humans commit unspeakable acts that terrify us and defy reason to feed the beast within us. Sometimes they prowl through our backyards and hide behind a mask. Tonight it was a wolf mask, but the mask that truly hide behind is that of fear. They use fear and superstition to cover their crimes and explain away their evil.
Yeah, whatever the mask may be, they always serve 2 purposes. It protects the criminal and it comforts the community.
Mm-hmm.
It gives an explanation to things that defy explanation.
Mm-hmm.
It provides a villain that everyone can point to, and it often spares people from looking too closely at the very real darkness within human nature.
Yeah. Once we strip her of those masks and we take away the folklore, what remains is very real. It's the fear, the suffering, and the evidence left behind by killers, not monsters, not folklore, but evil men doing evil things. So we're going to wrap it up. We got a juxtaposition coming up behind us. So stay tuned for them here on klrnradio.com. You can find us on any podcast player that you have. We're everywhere. Just look up Front Porch
Whichever
Forensics.
one you prefer to use. we're there.
Also, go to klrnradio.com. Look at all our other shows. You will find something you love. I guarantee it.
So we are the Bump Stocks. You can find him. He is Bumpstock Ken on X.
Mhm.
I'm Bumpstock Barbie, so that should be easy to remember. Barbie and Ken. You can also find me. I write for Twitchy. My author page is in my bio. I even have a baking page, a plant page, and a cross stitch page. So, like, if y'all follow me, there's a whole bunch of stuff.
For sure. So y'all tune in, find us, get some replays, and hope to see you again next week. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing, but we will be back. So
We definitely will. And please, guys, remember not to do anything that will make you the subject of one of my episodes on this show.
yeah, we don't. If you do something stupid, be smart about it. All right. Y'all stay safe, be good, and we will see y'all next time.
When I heard something in the house, I don't mean a mouse. I swear they was spooks, spooks, spooks. I know they was spooks, 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 spooks. I couldn't move, just stood and stare. I never was so scared. The first spook spoke and I heard him speak. He said, "What say, go make the back door squeak. We'll tease the cat and hound the pup and raise our spirits up." Oh, Lord of them spooks, 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 those scary old spooks, spooks.